Okay, everybody, we are live right now. Um, yeah, so right now we're doing a live preview of UFC Noche. I'm excited, man. I'm excited. It's a good card. It's a free card, which is crazy to have a title fight for free. We don't get that much anymore. I don't know when the last one we got for free was. Well, I mean, I think the last one we probably got for free was probably UFC 267. I think that was the Glover Teixeira card, and they had the UFC 268 a week later, and that one was not a fight night, obviously. So I cannot remember the last time a fight night title was on the line. It would probably be Henry Cejudo versus. Would it be Henry versus TJ? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. But anyways, everybody, this is the one that we got this weekend. We've got Valentina Shevchenko versus Alexa Grasso, which is absolutely an incredible matchup that I'm just hyped for, to be honest. I mean, I'm really excited for this one. It's a fight I've been looking forward to, the rematch. I think we're all looking forward to it. I mean, you can't really not be looking forward to this fight. The first one was good. 3-1 on the judges' scorecards going into that fourth round, where obviously Alexa was able to find the choke after Valentina threw that spinning back kick that was caught, and yeah, she got on her back and submitted her. So yeah, crazy moment at UFC 285. At that time, Israel Adesanya was not the champion, and now Israel Adesanya is not the champion either, but he was also the champion in between the reigns. So crazy stuff there. But yeah, man. So this fight, what a great poster that is, by the way. It's on. I don't know if it's the exact day of Mexican Independence Day. Let me Google what day is. What day is Mexican? September 6th. Okay, it's right on Mexican Independence Day. Never mind. So this fight is on Mexican Independence Day. Tonight we have a boxing match that honors Mexican Independence Day. I think Saul Canelo Alvarez being scheduled for September is maybe a notion to this. Maybe could be possibly. I mean, I would think that they would schedule it close to Mexican Independence Day. Obviously, this is at the T-Mobile Arena though, which is very nice that we're not gonna have to watch an Apex card this weekend. Yeah, it's all gonna be done at the T-Mobile Arena, man. Pay-per-view level stuff right here. So I'm just hyped, man. I'm hyped as ever for this one. It's a great card. You've got guys like Raul Rosas Jr. on the card. You've got real people on this card, and the co-main event is fantastic. Obviously, there were so many fights that fell off of this card, which we'll talk about in a second, because if this card were to have some of the people that were still on this card that were originally intended to be on this card would be one of my favorite cards of all time. But it's still up there, man. I'm still gonna watch it, and I'm very excited, man. And I like the start time being like a pay-per-view start time. I do like that. I think that's a cool touch to it, and I think that yeah, I like that a lot. Anyways, we're gonna start down here at the bottom, man. Okay, so this one right here, Josephine Nexton versus Mark McMahon. This one right here, man. This one is obviously not a very cared about one for me. I'm just gonna say it. This one right here, obviously Josephine is gonna win. Josephine is gonna win this one. There's not too much to this one, man. It's minus 575 in a women's bout. You know the deal on this one, okay? I think we all know the deal on this one. Moving on right here, Alex Reyes versus Charlie Campbell. This is a good fight. I think Charlie Campbell will win it though. Yeah, not too much to say. These bottom two, these guys have zero star power. You know what I mean? This is zero. Nobody knows who these people are. Anyways, moving on. Tracy Cortez versus Jasmine Jasavundis. It's a good one, man. Jasavundis, man. I like this one. I'm going to go Tracy Cortez because I want the hype to continue, and I hope that Tracy Cortez can get to the title picture. And women's flyweight is actually in a really good spot right now with Tracy Cortez. You've got Alexa Grasso as champ. You've got Valentina Shevchenko there. You've got Erin Blanchfield, and you've got, oh my gosh, who did Erin Blanchfield just beat? She just beat Talia Santos, who's another very good contender in that division. So that division's really on fire right now. Yeah, not too much to say about that. Edgar Shirez versus Daniel Lacerda. This one's good, man. Not too much to say about it. Edgar Chavez is making a return. I think he'll win that one. I remember being very impressed with him last time. Roman Kopylov versus Josh Fremd. This is a good one. I think the odds are a little crazy in favor of Roman Kopylov because he's been on a little bit of a win streak. But, he just lost a little bit ago, so I wouldn't be too crazy without picking Josh Fremd here. But Fremd did lose, I think, to Trayshawn Gore originally. And then obviously beat Cedric Dumas in his last fight. But yeah, not too much right there. I got Roman Kopylov, though. Lupi Gudinez versus Elsie Reed. This is a good one. Obviously, Lupi trains with Alexa Grasso, Diego Lopez, Irene Aldana in that gym in Mexico. So that gym's pretty stacked right now. Yeah, I think it's a good pick to go Lupi Gudinez on a Mexican Independence Day card. Yeah, I think you got to go Lupi right there. Moving up the card, you got Kyle Nelson versus Fernando Padilla. Yeah, man, I think Kyle Nelson's stepping in right here. And, you got some Mexican talent right here. I think Fernando Padilla is going to win this one. I'm pretty much going with a lot of the Mexican fighters on this card because I do think that there's going to, not that there's some energy, I'm saying that there's I just think that they've gotten good matchups for them to win on this card so that, it makes everybody happy at the T-Mobile Arena on Saturday. Moving up, this is pretty much the big ones right here. Daniel Zellhuber versus Christos Giagos. This one right here is a good one, man. But you got to go Daniel Zellhuber. Obviously, he was upset that one time. But, he's a good prospect still to this day. So, I've got him beating Christos Giagos. I mean, really, there's no hype behind Christos Giagos in this one. So, yeah, you got to go Daniel Zellhuber in this one. Moving on up, Raul Rosas Jr. versus Terrence Mitchell. Terrence Mitchell's funny because Terrence Mitchell has fought pretty high-level competition. He's fought he's fought Cameron Simon, which is Dricus du Plessis' teammate. And he's also lost to Kai Kara France on the Ultimate Fighter, on the first round of the Ultimate Fighter. So pretty much every time he faces high competition, he does end up losing. But Raul Rosas Jr. may not be high competition. I'm going to say Raul Rosas Jr. I'm not confident in that. I'm not totally confident in Raul Rosas Jr. here. I think Terrence Mitchell could possibly give him some trouble. Although Cameron Simon was able to bounce his head off the canvas in the first round, and obviously Raul was really good on the ground, so I don't think Terrence Mitchell is as good on the ground as Raul. So maybe Raul gets it done pretty quickly on the ground. Hopefully he can get his hype back on track after that loss to Christian Rodriguez. So yeah, give me Raul Rosas Jr. in this one, but I'm a little nervous because at 18 years old, I'm not bashing him because 18 is how old I am, man. And I know right now, I have no experience. So for him, experience is the main thing. And, you may see a Charles Oliveira-esque person with Raul or the Max Holloway-esque person who gets in the UFC from a young age, drops some of those first ones, and then comes back later and gets on a run. Because when you're 18, you have a long time, man. He could be in the UFC for the next 15 years. You know what I mean? You could be in the next 15 years and you're 33. I mean, that's still younger than Conor McGregor even right now. So he could do a lot in the next 15 years in the UFC. So he's got time, even if he does drop this one to Terrence Mitchell. But anyways, moving on up, the co-main event of the night, Jack Della Maddalena versus Kevin Holland. This one's good. Obviously, Jack Della Maddalena is coming off that weird fight that he had. Oh, I guess I forgot the name. It was against Batista or something like that. I forgot his name. But, yeah, that fight, the guy stepped in on short notice. It was a whole big ordeal, man. Jack Della Maddalena was supposed to fight on UFC 290, I think it was, and then the fight fell through. Oh, my gosh, there was so much wrong with that fight. And then he fought on Apex and then almost got beat because this guy knew wrestling. So I think that's influencing a lot of people to pick Kevin Holland here. I just can't pick Kevin Holland, man. I've seen Kevin Holland lose too many times, and I feel like Jack Della Maddalena is really not trying to lose. That's all I feel. And I think that Kevin Holland here is going to be... I think he's going to lose this one because he loses to top level strikers a lot of the time. Now, obviously, he lost to Marvin Vettori and Derek Brunson because they had a wrestling game, but he lost to Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. It was great striking. But I'm saying Jack Della Maddalena has more power than Wonderboy, and he has probably better boxing, straight up boxing. So it'll be interesting. I'm going Jack Della Maddalena to get it done, but I'm not totally confident in it. I think Kevin Holland might do some weird wizardry stuff on the ground, man. I could see something like that. Yeah, man. I don't see it going too well though for Kevin Holland. I got Jack Della Maddalena in the co-main event, but that's going to be a very hype matchup. You know, almost for many that might be the main event, but for me the main event is this great main event, which is a championship main event in the in a fight night main event for free. So incredible stuff that the UFC's done here, man. This is the type of stuff I'm talking about, man. I want fight night main events with championship bouts. And I think this is a very good thing for women, because a lot of the time I think women get overshadowed on pay-per-views being under a man's pay-per-view, right? Like if they, take UFC 285 for instance. John Jones was the main event of UFC 285. Cyril Gane, John Jones. Everybody talked about that. Now I know Alexa Grasso versus Valentina Shevchenko did get some press. What was the other one on that card? It was Zhang Wei Li versus Carla Esparza, also on that card, I think, right? Surely, yeah, it was. I think it was. It had to be. Hold on. No, okay, it was just two title fights. Okay, so yeah, but right here, it was overshadowed. You know what I mean? It was overshadowed right there by John Jones versus Cyril Gane, which is a lot of time I feel what happens with women's title fights. And then, if you do something like UFC 287, I think it was, that was Amanda Nunes versus Irene Aldana in Canada. Wait a second, 287. That was 289. What was 287? That was Israel Adesanya versus Alex Pereira. If you do something like 289 with Amanda Nunes and Irene Aldana, it leads to a lot of people overlooking the main event. And people at that point say, what an awful card this is. And they hate the women's fights at that point. They go, oh, this is just disgusting. I mean, they just absolutely hate it if you put a women's fight at the head of a pay-per-view. And so I think that this was a good choice. Instead of doing like a UFC 294 and having Grasso versus Shevchenko as the main event, it's a lot better having it, I think, right here on a fight night, man. I think they should do that with more women's title fights, man. Put it on fight night cards, because you can build a big event around something just like this one is going to be. It's a big event. It feels pay-per-view level because it has the T-Mobile Arena. It has a title fight on the line. You know what I mean? It has pretty big stars on the card. I think when you do that, it's more fair to the women, and I think that the women get a lot more attention. And, you don't have the fan base that's saying, oh, why is this the main event? Why is this the main event? Nobody's saying, oh, why is this the main event? Because it's a championship bout. Whereas if you put it as the main event on a pay-per-view, people are really not hyped up about it. Anyways, that's my little rant about why women's title fights should be on fight nights more of the time than they are, is because I'm going Alexa Grasso here, man. I've been rewatching a lot of fights from Alexa. I just like her boxing. I think Valentina is getting elderly. I think she's getting older, man. Valentina, I thought in the Talia Santos fight, declined a little bit. I didn't think she won that fight. I didn't think that she was doing all that great against Alexa Grasso in their first fight. I think that a little bit of the notion that it was 4-0 is way overblown, man. Alexa Grasso rocked Valentina in the first round with a nasty boxing combo. She has nasty boxing combos. And so I think that Alexa, I've been watching a lot of her fights, and she has great boxing combinations. She beats a lot of people with her boxing. So I've got Alexa Grasso winning this one by decision, I think. I think she'll outbox Valentina. It'll be a little bit of the Kamaru Usman, Leon Edwards feeling. That's what I'm getting. A lot of people felt the first one was a fluke, right? And then, not the first one, in that one, obviously, because that was a rematch, but you get what I'm saying. A lot of people felt the first one was sort of a fluke, and then the second one, the dominant champion is going to get their get back on them, right? I feel like this may be the changing of the guard, just like Leon versus Kamaru. I just think that we might not see Valentina get it back, at least right now. I feel like Alexa might hold on to the belt. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I am wrong. If you look at this, though, prelim start at 7. This main card starts at 10. How many fights is that? Oh, it's just 5 fights. So, wait a second. What? Yeah, it's just 5. I thought for a minute it was a 6-fight main card. It's starting at 10 o'clock. I was like, what? That's going to be on late. No, a lot of good stuff. A lot of good fights on this card, though. You know, I can't hate on that. And my word, let's look at this poster again, man. I mean, come on. That's one of the best posters ever created right there. I think so. A lot of people be hating on the posters, man, but that's a good poster. Tell me the UFC did not do a good job with this poster. If you say this is not a good poster, you're lying. You're lying, baby. Anyways, this is a great one. Alexa Grasso, Valentina Shevchenko, September the 16th, live from Las Vegas, Nevada, at the T-Mobile Arena. I'm very happy they're going to the T-Mobile Arena. If this was at the Apex, it would have felt wrong. Yeah, I'm very excited about this. Happy that it's a main event on Mexican Independence Day as well. The belts are cool. They gave Alexa some customized belt right there. I don't know if Valentina's challenging for the customized belt, but if so, that would be kind of cool too. So yeah, I don't want it to become like boxing with all the crazy belts, but it's obviously just the UFC flyweight champions of the world. It's when you start to get like another title. Like if they were to put in the Mexican belt, that would be a little strange, and then have different people fight for you. But like, man, can we not just fight for the flyweight title? Anyways, that's my beef with the BMF title too. But anyways, I digress. This is a good card, man. Great card. Let's look at these upcoming events real fast, though. Rafael Fiziev versus Mateusz Gamrot. That's going to be a great one, September 23rd. It's going to be the last UFC event that I'm going to really be talking about for a little bit because I'm going on a trip after that one. So I don't know if I'll be here. I don't think I will not be here for Grant Dawson versus Bobby Green. And I may be here for Sadiq Youssef versus Edson Barboza. It depends on what time I get home. Charles Oliveira versus Islam Makhachev 2. I will be there. I will be there no matter what. So I'm hyped for this one. This card right here. Card of the year coming up. Card of the year candidate. If we're looking back, 287's up there. 285 is up there. And 290 and 291 are all up there. So some really good cards this year. 295 is going to be up there for sure. And we got Paul Craig versus Arnold Allen. Not Arnold Allen. Come on now, John. What are we doing? What are we doing, dude? What are we doing? Cannot believe I just called my boy Brendan Allen Arnold Allen. Either way, yeah, that one might be. That's one of these Apex cards, but it'll be fun. Main event, I guess. I don't have it going well for Paul Craig though because Brendan Allen is a jiu-jitsu guy. You know what I mean? He's good at jiu-jitsu and he has good striking. Paul Craig is just good at jiu-jitsu and he's not good at striking. So we'll see. But maybe middleweight Paul Craig will be fantastic. You know what I mean? We never know. John Jones versus Stipe Miocic. It's going to be a good card, man. People are writing off my boy Stipe. Don't write him out. Don't write him off yet. Derek Brunson is out and has been cut. Jessica Andrade versus Mackenzie Dern is crazy in the co-main event. If that is true and they don't add Colby versus Leon on the co-main event. Matt Schnell versus Steve Erceg is a good fight. Joshua Van Zandt versus Kevin Borjas is a good fight as well. I got Joshua Van in that one. Early predictions, of course. We're going back to Brazil this year for Sao Paulo. Sao Paulo this time, though, not Rio. You got Curtis Blades versus Jalton Almeida. It will be an amazing main event. Gabriel Bonfim versus Nicholas Dalby is a great fight. Obviously, hype around the Bonfim brothers still. I mean, even though one of them lost, it's okay. Elvis Brenner has a lot of... oh, man, this is a good one. Elvis Brenner versus Esteban Ribovic. After Elvis Brenner just TKO'd Guram Kutateladze in the third round. Elias Zaleski dos Santos versus Rinat Fakhretdinov is an amazing bout. I've got Rinat. I think Rinat is going to be a problem in the welterweight division. The dude is absolutely giant for welterweight. Angela Overkill Hill versus Denise Gomez. It's going to be a good one, man. You know, you could see a fraud check here, or you could see a little bit of a hype train. emerging. Rodrigo Nascimento versus Dontel Mays. That's a good one. Vitor Petrino versus Modestas Bukauskas is a good one. Kai Berhalo versus Nursultan Ruzabayev. That's an amazing fight right there. Armand Petrosian's on the card versus Rodolfo Vieira. That's a good fight. A lot of names on that Brazil card. We got to go. Islam Makhachev versus Charles Oliveira 2. Main event, Islam Makhachev versus Charles Oliveira 2. That could be fight of the year right there, just because, again, it's just so high level. You saw in that first fight, that was just like, man, fight of the year, because it's just, the levels are so high. It's sort of like Islam versus Volk being fight of the year. You know what I mean? I like these very high level, and this is the highest level of probably the UFC, to be honest. So great stuff right there. Paulo Costa versus Khamzat Chimaev is going to be fantastic. Paulo Costa is a minus 375 favorite, apparently, which I find that hard to believe. I don't know if that's true, because if that's true, there's a lot of money to be made on Khamzat Chimaev. But yeah, okay, it's fine. I mean, sure. They got him ranked at 4, but that should be the welterweight ranking, I think, right? Anyways, that's a great fight, though, and it will decide a lot, especially with the middleweight division being so wide open after Sean Strickland KO'd Israel Adesanya. Going to be absolutely crazy. Nasruddin Maivov versus Ikram Aliskerov is also an amazing fight. It's not going to get that much attention. Definitely not going to get the attention that it deserves. But that's a good fight right there, too. And Ikram Aliskerov has a lot of hype on him, too. You know what I mean? He lost to Khamzat Chimaev back in the day, so he's got some hype to him, man. But at the time, he was Khamzat's toughest fight, so yeah. You've got Mike Breeden versus Anshul Jubli, which this guy right here is the first Indian fighter in the UFC, or maybe not the first, but the only current UFC fighter in the UFC. Victoria Dudakova versus Jin Frey. It's going to be all right. Magomed Ankalaev versus Johnny Walker. This fight needs to be moved much higher on the card. Obviously, I think it will, hopefully. That fight right there is incredible, and it's going to decide a lot in the light heavyweight division. And the winner, I think, deserves a title shot. I think the winner of this fight deserves a title shot, man. Magomed really deserves a title shot after coming out with that draw. And then Johnny Walker deserves a title shot after the he'll be on a win streak, a pretty good one after this, right? Paul Craig, Anthony Smith, and Magomed Ankalaev. I think that gets you a title shot. Tim Elliott versus Muhammad Mokaev also should be moved up on the card. I think that how many fights is this? 1, 2, 3, 4. So they only got 7 fights right now. But I'm sure that's not really what it is, right? Imagine I just flew to Abu Dhabi and was there. That would be crazy. Okay, here we go. This is the real card right here. Islam Makhachev versus Charles Oliveira, Paulo Costa versus Khamzat Chimaev, Nasruddin Maivov versus Ikram Aliskerov, Magomed Ankalaev versus Johnny Walker, Tim Elliott versus Muhammad Mokaev, Cedric Dumas versus Abu Azaitar. Man, that's good. Muhammad Yahya versus Trevor Peek. Trevor Peek's on the card, dude? No way. Bruno Silva versus Shahrukh Putin Magomedov. This guy right here has a ton of hype, obviously. Saeed Nurmagomedov versus Muin Gurstavov. Mike Breeden versus Anshul Jubli. Okay, so that's good, man. You can see, I'm going to walk you through some of these fights right here. Saeed Nurmagomedov obviously has a ton of hype on him. He lost, I think, his last fight. Yeah, he lost to Jonathan Martinez, but it was a little controversial. A lot of people thought that he won that fight. But he's a good fighter, so that's why it'll be a good fight to see. See if he can get back on track. He had a lot of hype before that fight. A lot of people were talking about Saeed Nurmagomedov like he was, one of the best in the world. Muhammad Yahya versus Trevor Peek. So this will be funny because Trevor Peek is just hilarious. So, yeah, you probably want to go Muhammad Yahya here, but Trevor Peek never ceases to amaze me with the standing hammer fists. Bruno Silva versus Shara Botunin Magomedov. This one right here, I can't say Shara. How do you say that? Shara Budden Magomedov. That's what it's got to be. But yeah, Magomedov has a lot of hype, and Bruno Silva's been a little bit on the downslope. But they are throwing him up here against a really high competition in Bruno Silva. Bruno Silva's not an easy guy. you're going right into the UFC with the guy that gave Alex Pereira a really hard test. Obviously, he's not still on that level. You know, he lost to Brendan Allen most recently. He did beat Brad Tavares, but he lost to GM3. And, you know, yeah, this will be a good one, though. And it is a real test, man. It is a real test. But this man, Magomedov, has a ton of hype. You know, this dude is one of the most hyped dudes there is in the UFC. Well, not in the UFC right now, but he will be soon, and it will be a good fight to see when he debuts. Let's skip over this one, but Dudikov is probably going to win. If you look at Jin Frey being 11-9, that'll be a good one, though. Cedric Dumas versus Abu Azaitar is an amazing fight. Cedric is really not that high level, but it will be funny to see. And, yeah, you might want to go Abu here. I think I'd go Abu. But that's just me. Don't want to doubt Cedric Dumas, though. I don't. I really don't. Tim Elliott versus Muhammad Makayev. That's going to be an amazing fight. And I could potentially see Tim Elliott fraud checking Muhammad Makayev, but I think Muhammad Makayev gets it done because, you know, just the hype, man. You got to go with the hype a lot of the time. You got to go with the hype. Give me Muhammad Makayev in that one. Johnny Walker versus Magomed Ankalaev. I just see it going poorly for Johnny Walker. Poor Johnny Walker, man. This is a tough matchup for Johnny Walker. Magomed, I just think, is going to be too brutal for him, man. Magomed is a tough fighter, dude. The guy is just hard. He just looks like he just would just smack you up hard. So I got to go Magomed Ankalaev in that one. Man, that's a UFC 294 is a stacked card, though. Sadiq Youssef versus Edson Barbosa. This is a fight card from the Apex. It's got Jennifer Maia versus Vivian Araujo. It's got David Dvorak versus Tatsuro Taira, which this fight card that's a great fight right there. So that'll have a lot of hype. Tatsuro Taira is going to be ranked after that if he gets a win. So it will really tell us a lot because Tatsuro did not look too great in his last fight. And so, but he's sort of like the dark horse of the flyweight division. He gets some hype. He reminds me of Shavkat in a sense that Khamzat gets all the hype, and Khamzat's sort of your Muhammad Makayev-esque person. And then Tatsuro Taira is the guy like Shavkat who's there, but doesn't get as much hype as, you know, Khamzat. But still, cool stuff right there. That'll be a good one. Marc-Andre Barriault versus Michel Pereira. Did Michel Pereira pull out of this fight? Because I saw a couple days ago that he wasn't going to fight. I don't know if he pulled out of this one or not. Ronnie Yaya. Okay, that card's not the best. But this card right here, Grant Dawson versus Bobby Green, is actually really, really underrated. You've got Grant Dawson versus Bobby Green. An amazing main event right there. I've got Grant Dawson. I think everybody's got Grant Dawson. But it'll be good, man. It'll be a really good main event. Joe Pyfer versus Abdul Razak Al Hassan in the co-main. Alex Morano versus Joaquin Buckley is an amazing fight. Drew Dober versus Ricky Glenn is an amazing fight. Felipe Lins versus Iancu Dalaba is a great fight. Alexander Hernandez versus Bill Algeo is a great fight. Carolina Kowalczyk, man, versus Diana Belbita is just a decent fight. But Chris Gutierrez returns, fights Montel Jackson. Yeah, I mean, not too many great names on it, but yeah, not a bad card. I will not be here for this card, but you know, it's a good one. I'll be on vacation, man. Rafael Fiziev versus Mateusz Gamrot. This fight I will be here. This is the last one that I'll be here for, so I'll be doing some more live streams preemptively for that one. But you got Rafael Fiziev versus a Mateusz Gamrot, which is some of these, they sort of do these a lot of the time. I feel like they put these guys up against each other. They put like Mateusz Gamrot versus Arman Tsarukyan. You know, these type of, I don't want to say Eastern European prospects, but they do put these prospects that happen to be Eastern European up against each other instead of like, you never really see too much Fiziev versus Dustin Poirier or Grant Dawson versus a guy like this. I don't know. Bryce Mitchell versus Dan Ige. Good fight, man. It's a good fight. That's a great co-main event on an Apex card, man. Marina Rodriguez versus Michelle Watterson Gomez. You know, it's all right, man. It's ranked strawweights. I mean, can't hate on that too much. Brian Battle versus AJ Fletcher. Brian Battle's coming off that win over Gabe Green in Charlotte where he KO'd him in 13 seconds. So that'll be a good one for sure. But I got Brian Battle in that one. Ricardo Ramos versus Charles Jourdain. Charles Jourdain, another big name on the card. Dan Argueta versus Miles Johns on the card. Tim Means versus Andre Fialho is on the card. Jacob Malkoun versus Cody Brundage. Muhammad Usman versus Jake Collier is a fight that I'm looking forward to. A lot of names on this card. You got Muhammad Usman. That's a big name, pretty much. I mean, you got to say that's a big name. Tim Means. Andre Fialho is a pretty big name. I mean, sort of, if you watch the sport. Charles Jourdain's there. Right. Brian Battle's sort of there. You know what I mean? Had some hype before he lost to Arena Fagbardino, but he's getting it back slowly but surely. Bryce Mitchell, Danny Ige, Mataus Gamrot, and Rafael Fiziev. Those are all pretty decent names. So, yeah, good stuff I'm looking forward to there in 2 weeks' time. But, this weekend we focus on Alexa Grasso versus Valentina Shevchenko 2. Man, I'm hyped for it. I'm ready. Anyways, guys, thank you guys for watching this little live stream thing, man. I just wanted to go over some of the upcoming fights in the UFC. And, yeah, thank you all so much for watching, man. It does truly mean a lot. So, thank you all so much, man. I will see you all in the next stream or the next video. So,